How are you, Stella? So today you're kind of wearing two hats, one as a writer, but also as an artist, right? And one of the things I wanted to ask you, I'm very curious. We've been friends for quite a bit, and I saw your journey from Do Re Mi to now, like, We Are the World, which is awesome. What made you feel like there was quite a potential in actually being a saxophonist? And before COVID, how was that journey for you?
Well, so I started playing the sax, like you're reminding me earlier, around the same time you were starting your guitar journey.
Yeah.
And to be honest, when I started out, it was absolutely I can't even say for fun, because it wasn't fun. It was very hard to learn. But when I started out, it was purely for leisure, right? And for the longest time, I played from my room until 2018. That's when I stepped out, started playing in crowds, testing the waters. And 2019, of course, kind of blew out because I was all over the place, playing on national events, on smaller events, NGOs. It just blew out. And then, of course, 2020, we went back to the house now.
To the room,
room.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Do you know what helped in the blowout, the going big in 2019?
Well, I think one, being prepared is very important, because the days I spent in my room, even though I was playing to myself, I feel like I was learning better and better. Perhaps what I didn't learn was now how to face the people. So at some point it got overwhelming, but before that, I think the preparation really, really helped in the blowout, because it would be something very, very hectic to have that kind of demand without being prepared. The other thing is, should I say, reputation, because coming from a corporate world, I try to do things corporately. And I was always on time. I was always reaching out, drafting contracts, making work easier for the suppliers or for my clients. So I think it's the flexibility that they enjoyed working with. Plus, it was something unique on the market, so it helped.
And would you say, before COVID obviously happened, were you envisioning yourself to become full-time in this entertainment sector, or were you still juggling both your corporate world? Was there a hope that you feel that COVID crashed?
Honestly, before COVID happened, I was very close to deciding, let me just do the music, because I have a passion for kids, and I thought maybe I should just start teaching kids and forget about my day job. But when COVID happened, it humbled us.
Yes.
And it took me back to, now you're trying to survive, right?
Yeah.
And there is no way you can even think of quitting your job. So now, even after COVID, I would say I'd be dreaming to quit my job as a writer or as a communications person. There is a way that we can find a way of juggling stuff, because COVID taught us one thing, that we cannot thrive from one source of income. So yeah, I'm working towards that. When it comes to the saxophone, I've worked around getting growing, let's say, that department, if I can call it that. So I've bought fog machines. I'm looking at sound so that I can kind of expand in that area, but not necessarily shut down one of the two.
Yeah, and then COVID happened, of course.
COVID happened.
Tell us, how was it for you personally, but then let's zoom out and also talk about the entertainment sector, your peers. I know you performed a lot for these jazz junctions and all these live events. Let's focus on you for a bit and then zoom out and tell us about the sector in general. Yeah.
To be honest, on my side, even before COVID, it was far-fetched, right? It was far-fetched. The payment, I always felt like musicians are not valued on the market. Even from the conversations, when you're having conversations with different people, suppliers, there is always that thing that makes you feel like For instance, one client told me, can you imagine I'm paying so little and people are going to be dancing the entire day? Don't they value themselves? And I was thinking,
Yeah.
you know, if you don't value them, why are you hiring them in the first place? So there has been a very low value of artists in general, but when it comes to performing artists, it's even worse, I could say. So you find that we don't have, if I can say, what do they call it? Like a price. There's a price ceiling, and there is the lowest,
The floor. Yeah.
the floor, right? So we don't have that, and you find that sometimes people are hired but for a ridiculous amount of money, and honestly, they struggle. How is someone going to manage to earn so little and then at the same time create? You get, because part of the mind is thinking, how do I survive? So if we could create a platform where artists are valued, where they're paid better, perhaps even the creativity could improve.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah.
And from an already hard sector, you had to add on now a pandemic
COVID-19.
where we were in lockdown, where we were
Exactly.
not going outside. Did you feel like you had ways to incorporate the virtual world with your career as a saxophonist, or it
I
was just on hold?
I think what the pandemic made easier was perhaps the use of online platforms, because before we were using them, but they were not like the main medium, right?
A must, yeah.
Yes. So what COVID did perhaps was to help us to kind of be recognized, help the content be viewed. So it's been a little bit easier after, because now when you say, oh, I know a saxophonist, the first thing they say is, send me their handle, because now it's easy. It's easier, kind of easier for people to see what we're doing on our platforms. I would say that was the only advantage that COVID came with. Besides, after that, I don't think it's added any other advantage.
Yeah.
Actually, it's worsened it. Because now people say, you know, there was a pandemic, why are you charging so much? Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what about as a writer? What happened? Is that a sector that you feel was risen when the pandemic started, or?
So very interesting. I always wrote stuff and
Yeah.
kept it like on my laptop or on a drive somewhere. I didn't think, honestly, it was good content for people to view, because my writing is a bit very vulnerable. If you've read my stories, it's
Yes.
about my life, it's about loss, what I've been through, how can we deal with grieving people. So it's about things that I go through and things that I learn. So I did not think that it was something to put out in the mass. So when I started, I think it was September of last year or November, I was amazed at the reactions I got from people, and just decided to keep on doing it. It's something I enjoy. It's also a platform I can use to speak for many other different people. So I'm just going to keep pursuing it.
Absolutely. And one last question for you. Would you say COVID-19 was taught you to leap forward, or was it a leap backwards, and how, depending on how you answer it?
Well, for me, honestly, I'll say it again, that COVID has taught me to work hard, not depend on one source of income. And if you already think you're good in one sector, then expand. Find means of expanding, add value to your craft, so that when now people come for the, let's say, saxophone, you have so much other value additions to offer them. In the past, I would say I was a bit lazy before COVID. Not lazy, but comfortable, right? So I think I needed COVID to wake me up. And I'd say I'm on track now. Yes.
Well, thank you so much. I was told you have an original song to perform for us, so welcome to the stage once again, and thank you so much for your conversation.
Thank you, Nikki. One thing
Yes.
maybe about this song.
Yes.
It's a Kinyarwanda rhythm, right? The reason I came up with this song is because, of course, COVID was tough, but also I lost a few people last year, and My goodness, it was so hard to like go through life, and you know how airports were closed, borders were closed. Some of my family lives in Uganda, so I lost my big sister, and it was so hard. I couldn't even make it to her funeral. So it's the song is sort of therapy, right?
Yeah.
And ihumure, if I can use that word, to everyone that might be going through a hard time. It doesn't have to be loss. It could be financially. It could be, is it a divorce that you're nursing? Is it whichever hard time that you're
Yeah.
going through? I hope that this song can work as a soothing, something to your
Yeah.
heart.
Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
I appreciate your courage. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask the audience to help me with this. I'd like to get the beat, if you don't mind. Yes, thank you. Please don't get tired. Keep doing it.